apparently they had to create a traveling mat to cover the glob of coke on his nose in the footage.
Oh, it looked like a giant booger. It's one of the first. One of my notes is, why does he have a giant booger in his nose? And it's like, that's a sugar booger. That's coke booger. That's a cocaine sugar booger. That's what that is.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. No wonder this is a 6-hour concert. Welcome to Season 3 of Talking Pondo. Talking Pondo is a podcast where Clif and Marty give each other a film to watch and talk about them in detail. Some episodes will include a special guest. Vinny Gambini Takes One Last Case will not be seen this week, so we may bring you the following travesty of justice.
Fantastic. Vinny Gambini. Is it Gambini or Gambino? It's Gambini, isn't it?
Gambini is what IMDb told me just now to verify the joke.
I think you're absolutely right.
Actually, his name is Callow with a C.
Vincent LaGuardia Gambini.
Callow.
I'm not Jerry Gallo. I'm Jerry Callow.
I thought he was going to be like, we looked up Callow, and yeah, you really are. And it's like, oh shit, it worked out. But then she sent the facts. So then, later he went, doggone it, he wasn't a lawyer after all. Consnarned it.
Confarn darned it.
So we're back again. It's Talking Pondo.
That's Marty right. Catola. That's Marty Catola. I'm Cliff Campbell. We are both filmmakers and artistic type people and
film watchers.
Film watchers for sure. So
here we are. Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, we got a couple of good ones for you on Thanksgiving. One maybe a little less Thanksgiving-y than the other, but we'll see. We'll see. Which one do you want to start with?
Oh, the two
actually, two movies this week. My apologies. I just jumped right in, didn't I?
Few films this week. You would think it couldn't be two movies that couldn't be more different, but no, they actually do have a similarity to them because they both have a little bit of that country infusion to them that kind of naturally goes into both, right?
There is definitely a drawl in both movies, for sure.
Yes, we have the Fish Out of Water classic, My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny, yes.
And we also have the Martin Scorsese epic, The Last Waltz. And it's Thanksgiving, that's why. And why would you say Thanksgiving? The Last Waltz was filmed on Thanksgiving. 1976. We don't get to see the dinner in the movie, but they did have one. And our friend Charlie actually had concert tickets to that show, but he was somewhere else at the time and could not attend. But that was the legend he told us about that. And then there is My Cousin Vinny, which you said is, and you're right, it's just one of those movies you can put on and people are just going to watch it because it's eminently watchable. And nobody's really going to grumble about it necessarily. Even if it's not about Thanksgiving, it's still a Thanksgiving movie, kind of.
It's the glue that holds the universe together, Marty.
So what do you want to hit first today out of these two?
Well, I think, we need to, so Robert Redford died.
Oh, yeah, and I have viewer mail, too, so.
And you have viewer mail. So, see, this is terrible. We've got to get our facts. We've got to get our format straight. Anyway,
it's always a surprise,
Robert Redford died, so that sucks. I had heard that they were moving Sundance to a different city, and I wonder if Redford sold that off or was had gotten sick at the time. But anyway,
yeah, our sneakers episode was not that long ago. We recorded that while he was still around. Yeah, and in classic podcast fashion, people would say, "You killed Robert Redford." No, we didn't. It just so happened to fall into that time period. But go ahead and watch Sneakers,
Yeah, watch Sneakers. It's really good. I think probably one of his finest performances, everybody would agree, would be Butch Cassidy or maybe Jeremiah Johnson. He was great in The Natural. There's, his Out of Africa. We did Out of Africa very early on this podcast. Right. He's been in a lot of great movies. So, if you're interested, look into his career. He's done some great stuff. Anyway, viewer mail.
So if you're a male, we always want you to like and subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on the follow us on the RSS feed of your choice. And one of those is Apple Podcasts. And I discovered that there is a review for us on Apple Podcasts.
No way.
Yeah, I don't know who gave it. Their name is X Mac Life.
Okay.
This happened back in February, but they gave us 5 stars, which is great.
Holy crap!
Thank you
Really?
for 5 stars, because those are the ratings that make the difference. Is the 5. It's supposed to make the show more noticeable. Fun all around, they say. Pondo's films are just fantastic to watch, and even better when Clif and Marty talk to cast, crew, and guests about the making of their films, or movie nerd talk about films in general. Good films, good people, don't miss out. So that's a really nice Apple Podcast review.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, user. That was excellent.
And you too, listener, if you feel the same, can.
And hey, look, and we're pretty good about either posting this stuff on the podcast or replying to it. So, feel free to hit us up on our socials, and we like engagement. We like talking to people. We did that for years on television. So,
all right,
hit us up. If you have a movie you'd really like us to review, hit us up.
And our other piece of feedback comes from Derek Schindler.
Oh,
Dylan's brother, who you may have seen on YouTube, where they do trailer reviews sometimes. Rob Maynard's on there sometimes. But he replied to a Strange Darling episode, and he said this was his initial thoughts, and it sent me to his, I think it was a 2-minute YouTube video where he's talking about what he thought about it. And in a nutshell, his thoughts were a little different than all 4 of us in a way, but kind of similar. He said something like he knew right away that since the movie was told out of order, that she was the killer, because it would have been too obvious, because they were focusing on dude as the demon so much in the beginning, something like that, where he was just like, yeah, he wasn't that impressed with it either. But it's still interesting to have the feedback. I should have written a little bit clearer, but I think that was essentially his issue was, well, since you're telling me this out of order, now I know that it's not going down the way you're presenting it to me in the first place. And turned out he was right, because the movie did redirect a little, right?
I guess. Whatever. I guess. Thanks for your comment, Derek.
Yeah, it makes people talk.
That's interesting.
Darling,
I think the most interesting comment of that, I would listen to that episode a while ago, and it's not necessarily the male gaze, the female gaze, but we talk about how film, you take things in from your own perspective. And Danny was talking about how she knew that the girl was the killer the minute they got into the hotel room and they started doing this rough play, because you don't do that with people that you don't know or trust. It's like, that's a really stupid thing to do, and no woman would do that. And I thought, damn, that didn't even occur to me.
Yeah.
Like that hadn't even, because here I am in my male perspective going, having completely different thought about what I'm seeing and trying to figure out what the dynamic is, So I thought that was really interesting to hear. That it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like Strange Darling. I thought it was give it a watch. I think it's
still making people think out there.
Squatch can't drive no truck. So
I'm surprised that wasn't your quote at the end of that one. Actually,
I think it was.
It might have been, yeah.
I think it was. Squatch can't drive no truck. We're not into Scott Baio.
So yeah, a little bit of viewer feedback again there. It's pretty good.
That's awesome. I love that stuff. I absolutely, and 2 of them even better. But I love that stuff. I love hearing from people and knowing that they're listening. It's honestly, I do a lot of. I'm selfishly, I do this partially for you and I, right? Because I like listening to this stuff when I'm on my walks or, doing different stuff. So, but it's also really nice to have guests on and to hear people, talk about it. And we've surprisingly been getting some decent views on YouTube.
Yeah.
Been pretty nice. I mean, decent for us, I guess. So which one you want to cover first?
Pretty nice, as they say in Mac and Me. No, Mac and Me is not our movie, nor is Space Chimps. We covered My Cousin Vinny and The Last Waltz Thanksgiving 2025. So
grab a turkey leg and kick back and listen to this, boys and girls.
Yeah, I really don't have a preference.
Well, let's go My Cousin Vinny. Let's go the more, in my opinion, probably the more Thanksgiving movie that doesn't have anything to do with Thanksgiving movie.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
because it really doesn't have anything to do with Thanksgiving. However, like I've said, and you've quoted me on this podcast, this is the movie when your family comes over, when you have 24 people in your house and you're trying to get people to sit down and you get them out of the kitchen and get them snacks so they'll shut the hell up while the turkey's cooking and all that shit, and you put a television thing on. This is it. Or I have another one later on I'll give you two, but this is one of the top ones. Nobody's going to complain or bitch about this one. You know, your MAGA uncle and your far left aunt are going to be fine with this stuff. You know, the kids will like it. They'll think it's funny. It's got a few flat spots, but overall, you know, this is kind of that perfect family get together, put it on type of movie, even though it does, you know, have a few rough spots. Anyway.
So it's not Doc Hollywood, but it's My Cousin Vinny. And what is My Cousin Vinny, the fish out of water tale?
My Cousin Vinny, 1992, rated R, 2 hours.
Definitely rated R. There's a lot of F-bombs.
There's a lot of F-bombs. Two New Yorkers accused of murder in rural Alabama while on their way back to college call in the help of one of their cousins, a loudmouth lawyer with no trial experience. Directed by Jonathan Lynn, written by Dale Honor, stars Joe Pesci, Marisa Tomei, and Ralph Macchio. Let's see here. Storyline. Bill Gambini and Stanley Rothenstein are two friends from New York City who have just received scholarships to UCLA. They decide to drive through the South. Once they arrive in Alabama, they stop at a local convenience store to pick up a few snacks. But no sooner than they leave the store, they are arrested. They thought that they were arrested for shoplifting, but they were arrested for murder and robbery. Worse, they're facing execution for their crimes. Bill and Stan do not have enough money for a lawyer, so the good news is that Bill has a lawyer in the family, his cousin Vincent LaGuardia Gambini. The bad news is that Vinny is an inexperienced lawyer who has not been at trial. So Vinny has to defend his clients and battle an uncompromising judge, some tough locals, and even his fiancée, Mona Lisa Vito, who just does not know when to shut up to prove his client's innocence. But he will soon realize that he's going to need help.
So, I don't think I ever really had seen this before.
Really?
I mean, I know of it. I've seen pieces of it. I know Marisa Tomei won the Oscar, and I almost felt like I did see it. But watching it, it didn't strike any bells. It felt like a new experience to me.
I have seen this movie so many times. So many times. Because, again, I go to see my dad for Thanksgiving every year, and this is the thing that, you know, we have a bunch of people over, and this ends up on, and I think, like you said, a bunch of F-bombs, right? Like, and I forgot, I watched this, and I was like, there is a lot of cursing in this, but when it goes on cable, they cut a lot of that stuff out, or I
could imagine.
They mute it. So it's much more family friendly. Anyway.
It's like an hour long.
No, it's 3 hours because they put an hour of commercials in that thing. That's why they love it. Because they just mute the F-bombs and keep going.
They don't speed it up like they used to with the cram more commercials in, time compressed.
No, now it's 3 hour and no, dude, a 2.5 hour movie on cable now, will go 3 or 4 hours easily, 3.5 hours. Wow. It's ridiculous with the commercials on them. Yeah.
Well, I really did. I enjoyed the movie, but boy, does it draw out a premise to the point where you're feeling like you're watching an Abbott and Costello movie sometimes. Just take a step back and explain to each other what you're talking about. What? I thought it was the thing. No, I killed him. I got the tuna fish, and it's like, oh my Lord. But if you don't have that, you don't get to the setup, because it's one of those where you have to hand wave a bunch of ridiculous stuff.
It's sillier
than a sitcom logic, because it makes no sense. But that's okay, because that's the only way we can set up the whole premise, right? It's not about that, but boy, You can't pull on those strings at all because it makes no fucking sense, man.
You don't want
If
to.
people would just take a step back and talk to each other, this whole situation would be over in like 5
Marty,
minutes.
it's the South. There's no talking to the cops in the South. They're from New York, and they're going to arrest them, and they're going to go to trial. It's like Vinny says at one point, you're in Alabama. There's no way you're not going to trial.
Do we have to draw things out for a 5-minute scene until we finally realize what each other person is talking about, is what I'm referring to, especially in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie. And then there's Ralph Macchio and his friend who have no personality at all. They're just kind of like, we're just here in the prison. We don't have any, agency.
It does.
Because it's about Vinny. It's the stories about Vinny. It's not about Vinny.
True. Yeah, they're definitely...
They're a device,
Yeah, I read that, I think it was Ebert complained about the same thing, that Macchio, who's a pretty decent actor, didn't really have much to do.
There's nothing to do.
They really are devices in the film for Gambini. Absolutely. And I think you're right. I mean, I remember when this came on and I checked the time, I was like, oh, damn, 2 hours. I thought this was more like 145.
So long. Yeah.
And it probably could have dealt with, like you're right, shaving some things off here and there, making that beginning just a bit shorter, to where, you don't have to draw that out. I agree with you. But again, it still works.
It makes it funny. It's just a different type of humor. You don't really see these type of movies anymore of this type of really ridiculous stretched premise to where you have to go, okay, this is existing in a silly world where silly things can happen. You can lie. Of course,
when he's calling his mom and he's going, Ma, murder, Ma. Mm-hmm. And then the other one's going like, they think we're all, they're all fucking rednecks down here. They're all imbeciles. They're all having sex with their sisters. It's like, that's the level of, that's the type of comedy that it's very,
he gets woken up every morning by noise.
I love that shit. I absolutely adore that.
Until he does it because he has peace of mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, when he goes to jail and he sleeps in the chaos of jail and he's fine with it. Right.
Yeah. Right. Cause it's like New York noises, or maybe because things are finally going well for him. He can sleep.
Maybe both.
Mm-hmm.
Dirt for Sale. Now that's an actual thing that I've seen. Actually, that's not fake. The theme song is by the Fabulous Thunderbirds, so you got a little Jimmy Ray Vaughan in there.
Oh yeah, this definitely has a country attitude.
Mm-hmm. To it. Oh yeah. Oh, it's definitely a southern kind of country. Yeah, I mean, I think that's why, again, my family being from the Midwest, they eat this one up.
Once again, Cliff brings a movie about Americana that's directed by a British guy. But Jonathan Lynn does really seem to get it a lot better than a lot of the others. You'd never know that somebody who wasn't, a natural raised middle of America person directed this. It hits a lot of those beats.
I think that and Hell and High Water both hit a lot of those beats. It's surprising, I think, when Winders came out here and shot Paris, Texas, and it's considered to be, an American kind of classic.
I'm just saying, you don't see me making a movie about Scotland because I don't know about Scotland.
Well, maybe you should. Maybe you should make a movie about Scotland.
This is another Peter Deming as the DP movie. Mm-hmm. So we have our direct party animal connection again. Peter Deming's been with us on several movies we've watched lately.
The cast is fantastic. I mean, it's Pesci and Tomei as the leads. You've got Ralph Macchio and Mitchell Whitfield as the two college students. And then it's just a cast of just nothing but like awesome character actors. Austin Pendleton, Fred Gwynn, Lane Smith, Bruce McGill, Maury Chaykin, James Rebhorn, Chris Ellis. It's just everywhere you turn in this movie, there's some other awesome, great career character actor that you're like, he's been in that. It's
double entourage.
It's a great cast. Yeah.
Macchio and Harvey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the guy who played, Harvey Weinstein is literally, he's the grits guy in this movie.
Yeah. And see that scene's a great example of burying exposition, because you think it's just another throwaway scene, the grits, but no, that's setting something up that's going to pay off later. And it should have seemed so obvious, but it doesn't.
Yeah. How do you cook a grit? What is a grit? Those are hominy grits. Well, you got to boil them in water for 15 minutes or so. And, oh, okay.
But it's also part of the thing that if you pull at it too much, it doesn't make sense, because if he's such a sharp shooter, he should be hitting it right out the gate. But he's having this, like, I don't know, confidence break, and he's not paying attention. And then all of a sudden he is paying attention and he knows what to do and he's killing it, because he's not going to lose the case. It's finding out how he's going to win the case, right? That's what makes the movie interesting.
Yeah, it's the fish out of water thing. So
Yeah.
one of the things that this movie is praised for is let me find my note on that, because I want to be clear on that. Okay, so one of my favorite facts about the movie is that it is used as a good example of criminal procedure and the rules of evidence, right? And one of the things this movie is referred to in law school as like, hey, if you want a good example, a good film example of how this goes, this is a good one. But also it talks about the fact that the procedures and the rules of a court aren't really what you learn in law school. You learn that as you literally, and I'm making air quotes, practice the law, because it's different. That going in front of the bar for a judge is different in each kind of sort of county court. Every judge has their own kind of. Some judges don't give a shit if you sit down and talk. Other judges, like Fred Gwynn, is like, you stand up when you talk to me and when you address the court. Some judges don't fucking care. So it just depends on, procedure and that type of thing. So I think part of it is watching Vinny kind of learn those procedures and kind of figure it out, especially while the sheriff and the prosecuting attorney are laughing at him. You get that fish out of water vibe. But also once he starts to figure out, like, he goes and he figures, I can go and ask questions of the witnesses and so on and so forth. He starts to figure the case out, right? Because he's not a dummy by any stretch of the imagination. He's just never had any kind of trial experience.
That's why the movie's so long, because
because he's got to figure that out. Yeah,
but it's like being a mechanic. You learn that as you go too, which this movie loves to flaunt its knowledge of. It's like, I know a bit about the law, I know a bit about mechanics, and I'm going to figure out a way to put it in a script. And hey, that's what you're supposed to do. So they did a very good job of that.
You guys down here hear about the ongoing cholesterol problem in this country?
Mm-hmm.
When he takes that giant scoop of lard and just throws it on the griddle, I love that.
Strange Darling flashbacks, but they did it first. The Strange Darling breakfast versus the grits of my cousin Vinny.
Yeah, the grits of my cousin Vinny. That's great. I love the whole, what do you mean you got stiffed? And he goes into the bar and the idiot that wants to fight him.
Missed something. Like, wait a minute, there was another scene, but then the movie be 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah. No, but it's great because it's like, okay, he really leads this dude along until finally he knows the guy has the money, and then he kicks the shit out of him and he takes the money. It's really funny. He's 2 steps ahead of that guy the entire time, and I think that really illustrates kind of why he's going to win the case and why he's going to figure things out, right? Like,
those kids aren't getting fried. This is a comedy. There's never once you think that he's going to lose.
I mean, there's really not a lot at stake. Sure.
It's more like, how is he going to do it, right? Because we don't know what tricks he's going to pull out. Now, that's what makes it fun, I think.
The movie's full of lines, like when he's talking to the guy and he goes, oh, you like to renegotiate. Okay, let me see. Well, I could use a good ass kicking. I got to be very honest with you. There's some funny shit in there. It's fun.
It's downright Bruce Lee, like Game of No Game. Well, we'll fight when we get to the island.
Yeah. Here, I got your money. Oh, how do I know that's not a 20 wrapped around some ones? It's $200. Fan it out and show it to me. I'll get your money. He's like, good. Then when you get it, we'll fight. I'm not stupid.
It's a funny farm for some reason.
Dead on balls accurate is another fun line. I like how their arguing is kind of a turn on for them. It reminds me of John and Jen. It reminds me a bit of that, like that role play type of thing that they do. It makes me laugh.
Who did she beat for best supporting? Was it supporting actress that she won?
Supporting actress.
Because I'm thinking, wow, I see. Good for her. I see how, because it's obviously her giving her. When she's on the stand at the end of the movie, I think that's the part that really cinches it. I would think. And so I was like, okay, I can see why, but it's like, wow, who did she beat? I wonder, you know.
She beat
Oscars are
Kate
so
Nelligan.
weird.
She beat Kate Nelligan from The Prince of Tides. She beat Diane Ladd. Oh wait, no, that's for supporting, but that's not her. Huh?
She
Hang
was
on.
straight up actress then, huh?
Maybe she was just Best Actress. Yeah. No way, dude. That's crazy.
I think that's why it was such a weird upset.
She beat out Judy Davis for Husband and Wives, Joan Plowright for An Enchanted April, Miranda Richardson for Damage, Vanessa Redgrave for Howard's End.
Yeah, she was up against weird things
Yeah,
that people hadn't seen, and
yeah, and they went with the comedy,
yeah,
the young up and comer. So
I just always think of the Seinfeld where George Costanza thinks he can date Marisa Tomei.
well, and look, I mean, here's what I'll say. She wins that Oscar for a small comedy, and she's young and pretty and really great in the film. But then she goes on to do a lot of great work. I mean, Marisa Tomei is an excellent
Still
actress.
working to this day.
Her part in The Wrestler, I think, got her second Oscar.
That's
so
true.
she's really really good. She's not a flash in the pan type of thing at all.
Now she's Aunt May.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'd be Aunt May too. I did all this great work and then I get into a Marvel franchise. Yeah, hook me up. Why wouldn't the guy? Why? So okay. So at one point in the movie, Billy Gambini and his buddy, they don't agree on Vincent's ability to defend them, right? And so his buddy decides to get his own lawyer. Why wouldn't that lawyer during their very first meeting say, I have a bit of a stuttering problem. I don't want it to be a surprise while we're in court, but I have this small problem. Now, it's hilarious without a doubt. The minute he gets up, because he's all confident and he struts right up in there, and the minute he starts talking, he grabs onto that juror and is literally trying to spit out a word, and it's fucking hysterical. It is so funny. But again, like you said, you can't pull up the threads because why wouldn't you tell your client?
Another example of that type of humor that's threaded throughout this movie that you would see in like an Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
Where they stammer around each other and they misunderstand each other for 5 minutes because that's the joke.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when he goes to sit back down, he goes, "What was that?" He goes, "I'm getting better.
I'm getting better." That was the fun part.
You're getting better.
It's like,
what was it like before?
The funny part about him getting woke up every morning was, I thought you said it rarely comes through here at 5. And he's like, yeah, it usually comes in at like 10 after 4. And like, that's a joke. That was
and that kind of like deadpan sort of humor that I think really resonates with people. I think that shit's hilarious. Yeah, it usually comes in here around 10 after 4. That's very unusual. It's like, oh my God, that's so good. It's like a hee-haw moment.
And it's more of the, why didn't you just tell me? Almost every joke is
because you didn't ask.
It's very true to that. Yeah.
This is the same screenwriter that wrote Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and Ruthless People.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, he had the idea, and it is there is a mention that I think he mentions Doc Hollywood, but he had the idea while driving through the South, and his car broke down, and he got stuck in the mud, and ended up meeting a prosecuting attorney in the small town that he mimicked the prosecuting attorney in the film after. He wrote him as the kind of the archetype. And went from there. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, for something that's very basic tropes at its heart, 2 people are in the South and they get pulled over and put in jail and they're not guilty. Boy, we've seen that a lot, even like Untamed Youth and shit. But what they do here is they really have fun with it and play around with it. And it's just set up so we can set Joe Pesci loose. That's the whole point of it. It's like it's Mrs. Doubtfire, right? That doesn't make any sense, but it's set up so Robin Williams can play. That's what we're here to watch.
It makes just enough sense.
It makes enough sense.
It gives especially in a comedy or in a farce, you just have to.
It's farce.
If you watch, it's it's animal crackers all day,
Wasn't
you're at a
saying
party, and suddenly 4 black guys are carrying some dude in a weird sling who comes down. It's what the hell is kind of insanity. And
who's on first?
Yeah, the Marx Brothers are, all over the place, but all you need is a premise and an excuse to let it run. You just have to get some sort of reason that that's okay for you to buy into it so that you can have your laugh. I mean, 50 First Dates, where he meets this girl who, resets her brain every day so that in the morning she wakes up and she thinks it's the same day she's living over and over again. So it's Groundhog Day versus, as a rom-com. I mean, these things don't make any sense. You just got to kind of set them up and let them run. And the fun is in getting into that world and kind of laughing at it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But it's also why I'm not going stone cold classic on it, because those would be reserved for the one that figured out everything and made it make sense and still be as funny. Then you go, okay, now we're looking at 5 stars,
Oh, I don't think this is a 5-star movie by any stretch of the imagination. No.
Past a certain point, because it doesn't make any sense. But it's still funny, though.
I can't think of a better legal comedy courtroom movie.
Yeah.
I can think of some
Trial and Error with Michael Richards.
I can think of some courtroom dramas that are really good.
Right.
But I can't think of any any comedies that are consistently in the courtroom like this one is, for at least probably about 40 minutes of the movie. That are this good and this rewatchable. Again, this one you can kind of you can rewatch, not all the time, but it's not offensive when you see it a year from now and you're like, oh, okay, it's funny. Yeah, I like that's charming.
Yeah, it's just kind of there. Mm-hmm.
I ask you, would you give a fuck what kind of pants the son of a bitch that shot you were wearing? She's great in this when she's talking about, imagine you're a little deer and you go down to see a nice brook and you dip your little deer lips into the cool water and then bam, your fucking head's blown off. And, I ask you, would you give a shit what kind of pants the son of a bitch who shot you was wearing? I love it. She's so great in this. And I think even more than Pesci, she carries the movie. She helps him really carry that movie. I love that flower print backless one piece with the boots she's wearing. Perfect outfit for going out to a cabin in the middle of the woods. It just seems so like we've talked about. It's so crazy, fish out of water. I have no idea where I am. I'm going to, this is what I'm wearing. Mm-hmm. It's hysterical. I love also when they're sleeping in that cabin at night and he just gets that owl starts screaming and he just gets up with a gun and he goes out and just fires it indiscriminately into the woods. What the fuck are you doing? Anyway. And then, again, in this movie, every 10 or 15 minutes is giving you a new classic character actor.
Is good. Yeah.
Here's George Wilbur. Here's Maury Chaykin. Here's this guy. Here's that guy.
George Wilbur. George Wilbur is the character name.
Yes.
And it's funny because there's a stuntman called George Wilbur who's been Michael Myers multiple times.
George Wilbur is played by, what's his, I can't remember who that is. James Rebhorn, sorry.
Yeah, there's quite a few people in this movie that aren't around anymore.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good ones in this one.
Mm-hmm. It totally. So I didn't know this, but there are My Cousin Vinny novels where apparently he goes on to work other cases and Miss Vito is his investigator.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they have this, couple solving crimes. And
is it ever as interesting again because he's not having his moment of self-doubt for 45 minutes?
I hope so.
Falling asleep. And now that was the origin story, you see, and now.
Yeah. So again, kind of, like I said, innocuous and sort of unoffensive and funny. Very much in that Doc Hollywood vein.
Right. It's classic early 90s fish out of water movie.
Mm-hmm. It's also I honestly think it stands alone as a better than most comedy. There aren't a lot of legal comedies.
Something that's 33 years old and you watch it and all the humor hasn't transgressed into anything really. That's pretty rare.
Yeah. Nor is it trying to beat you over the head with a message or tell you anything.
There's no message.
It's just, it's just here, sit down and have a good time with this movie. So
there's no message. Back when movies were just fun, like that guy in that 1982 documentary said. Remember, the movies were fun. You didn't think about it that hard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those.
What do you give it?
You were right. I was going to give it 3 stars.
I figured.
Because I can't go 4 because that would be if it made perfect sense and it was still just as funny. But that's not what this movie is. This movie's a serviceable 3. You know.
I give it 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I give it that extra bump again because it seems to work so well, especially if you get the cable edited version with families and on Thanksgiving and so on. I think it's one of those eminently...
An asterisk for the cable version.
It's one of those glue movies. You know, there aren't a lot of glue movies where you can put it on and everybody can watch it, you know. Because usually dad wants to see people die and mom wants to see people in love. You know, find something in the middle that's a comedy that everybody can watch. You're
not losing it.
That's perfect.
TV version, though.
1941, the TV version.
Ooh. Well, we did watch Always, so.
Which brings us to...
a few weeks ago, we watched Nashville, and that's set in 1975-ish, 74, and this movie's literally set in 1976. And boy, we thought that movie had a lot of cocaine in it, but then we watched The Last Waltz, which is should have been called The Last Bump. But anyways, what is this movie about?
Bump.
Ooh, it gives me the sweats just thinking about it.
The Last Waltz, 1978, PG, 1 hour, 57 minutes. A film account and presentation of the final concert of the band. Let me see if there's a storyline here. Storyline, Thanksgiving, 1976, San Francisco's Winterland. The band performs its last concert after 16 years on the road. Some numbers they do alone, some songs include guest stars from Ronnie Hawkins, their first boss when they were the Hawks, to Bob Dylan, their last boss when, as his backup and as a solo group, they came into their own. Scorsese's camera explores the interactions on stage and the making of the music. Off stage, he interviews the band's 5 members, focusing on the nature of life on the road. The friendships, the harmonies, the hijinks, and the wear and tear add up to a last waltz.
Yeah. So we did After Hours a little while back, and so that was our first foray into Scorsese.
Four-way foray.
So I watched the bonus features on this, and they call him Scorsese. I'm thinking, okay, that's probably how his name is said. But then it was like, okay, this one was more of a movie overflow for me. It wasn't something that was coming up soon. But then I was like, well, Thanksgiving, it's unconventional Thanksgiving, but throw it in because we just watched, the coked out of its gourd Nashville, and now we're really seeing coked out of its gourd to the point where I guess I'll start with the little story about Neil Young. Apparently, they had to create a traveling mat to cover the glob of coke on his nose in the footage.
Oh, it looked like a giant booger. It's one of the first. One of my notes is, why does he have a giant booger in his nose? And it's like that's a sugar booger. That's coke booger. That's a cocaine sugar booger. That's what that is.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. No wonder this is a 6-hour concert.
Cocaine sugar booger.
He starts the movie with the encore. The last song they come out, and then we go back, and then we go through the interviews and stuff. And my first note on it was, how does a concert film, of all things, reward with new insight on each viewing throughout the years? And I think it's because it's not really so much about the band, but more the time that it's capturing and representing of an era. And they just happen to be the subjects that are being covered at the time. And I also wrote, some bands have one crazy member, but everyone in the band was crazy to a certain extent, which is probably why they were like, we have to get off the road. We are going insane, as you can kind of see in the movie in a way.
Well, they all look like they all look like they're heading backwards into their 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these guys are in their early 30s. I think Robertson's 34, and they all look like they're in their 40s or beyond. Like they're all rode hard. They're all rough. most of them are heroin addicts at that point, except for Robbie, I think, who's again high on the booger sugar with Neil and some of the others.
God, you can see them in between songs being like.
It's my first note is, oh boy, 2 hours of the white boy blues with an extra special dash of cocaine. I'm super excited.
At least you get some good guest stars along the way to pepper it, you know.
I've just. So I've spent a lot of my life refuting a lot of things that people find really great.
Me too.
I don't like the fucking Stones. You know, look, if you let any band make enough albums, they'll come up with some hits. And I don't like them at all. And there are other bands that I just shit like. I don't think Dylan's great at all. I don't like his music. And I really hate the band. Like I really, really, I don't like the glorification of the Civil War shit that they do with some of their songs.
Well, they're Canadian of all things.
You know, I would much rather, if I want to listen to Southern rock, I'll listen to Skinner, or I'll listen to the Allman Brothers, or I'll listen to bands that are way better than the band, in my opinion. I just, and I know I'm going to catch shit for this if anybody listens to this podcast, but I you know, I can't stand the band. I don't like it.
Movies about bands, and I think that this is even if you don't care about the band, I think it's still Scorsese does an interesting way of, you know, presenting the time period and the weird shit that bands go through, their ups and downs, and
up until probably Stop Making Sense, this was probably one of the better you know, live documentaries about it, you know, because Song Remains the Same is such a mess.
Yeah, this is way better.
It's way better. This is, you know, way better than this for sure. But for me, it was really, you know, you talk about how, you know, oh, this reminds me of the, you know, the Brown times or whatever. That's what sitting through this was. It was like, this was really a tough one for me to sit through. I've seen this multiple times. I mean, this is not the first time I've seen it, but I avoid it because I just don't like the music. You know, you're right. There are some pretty decent guest spots on it. I like the Emmylou Harris guest spot quite a bit.
Oh, that's one of the better parts of the movie. I was going to mention the Evangeline part.
Yeah, I'm not a big and they filmed that separately. That's not part of the concert.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think that kind of makes it neat too. Those extra little, they even performed their own score. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's paced
so
like an album.
So it's not really a concert movie. It's more like
it's a documentary. Yeah.
I guess of the concert. Sure. Yeah. I guess that's interesting.
But that does signify a time where a lot of the music scene was switching over too, because we're right on the verge of 77, and that's such a switch away from a lot of this leftover of the 60s rolled into, you know, all that countrified folkish stuff before it just kind of snaps, and then here comes punk and disco, and this stuff's not as big. And then the band reforms without Robbie and continues to perform for a few years after that, and now they are all dead. Rest in peace to every member of the band. Even Garth passed this January. He was 87. He was the one who made it the longest, but like you can tell Richard Manuel, is that his name? He's not doing good in this movie. So
no, he's all messed up.
He didn't make it out of the 80s. And then Danko died in his sleep of a heart attack in 99. And
Danko was probably my favorite part of the band because I think he's probably the glue that held the band together. He's he plays an excellent fretless bass. He plays violin.
Power to them. I don't care about the music, but they have an energy. It's weird.
He's very, and look, I don't deny the musical talent. I mean, I get why they got to where they were. I'm not saying,
but it makes Spinal Tap make more sense, you know. Because I mean, you got Ringo at some point, you know.
Yeah, you did get some Ringo. That was fun, but he didn't really do anything. He played drums on something, and that was, you know, kind of there.
That big jam session. I also find it very interesting how they shot it. Like Scorsese had it all storyboarded to the lyrics of the songs and everything, and he was trying to catch it as much as possible. And if one camera was reloading, another was going here, and then like if I lost half the song, then I didn't get that song. And the one famous part of it was during the Manish Boy performance, everybody was reloading, and there was a miscommunication. He was like, "Fuck, this is I got to get this. I got to get this part recorded." And the only person who recorded, because you see that one shot of it until the very end that's in the movie, because Vilmos Zsigmond was the only one who had his camera still running through that whole time. He was tired of the instructions, took his headphones off, and started shooting it his own way. And so the song survives. Also, Laszlo Kovacs was one of the camera operators on this. So he was pulling in all the heavy hitters there. I find that part of it fascinating, where it's just like, damn, you got some good camera people.
Yeah, white boy plays the blues type of thing. It's funny. I had no comment or opinion on cultural appropriation until I watched this documentary again, and now I think it's bad. We should probably just all stick to our own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kidding, of course. It's just a joke. But what I did find interesting was that Levon Helm is in this movie.
Yeah,
and Levon Helm is he's got a very distinctive voice and very distinctive look. And they say at one point that he was out working oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico. And that tells you, I mean, you don't work Gulf rigs. You don't work any rigs anywhere unless you are a certain type of person and are probably a little harder than the rest. So it tells you probably a lot about Levon Helm.
Oh yeah.
But I enjoyed that, it's weird how far up he chokes on his drumsticks. Like he's holding that drumstick so far up.
Yeah.
It was like, how the hell are you even playing?
Right. It is bizarre to watch their methods. They move like, I'm not used to seeing musicians move like that. Danko is just kind of flopping around, and then Levon's got that up high, and Richard looks like he's completely out of his mind. And it's quite a spectacle.
I think my favorite was the Dr. John appearance.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I just liked it. Like he sat down and immediately brought the band real tight into that thing. And that song, If I Don't Do It, Somebody Else Will, that thing's, especially in the 70s, was super popular. I remember growing up as a kid hearing that thing constantly.
And with the Poets and Van Morrison being there, and songs like Mystery Train and Who Do You Love being performed, it makes me think if Morrison was still alive, he would have been at this show. Probably Hendrix as well, because you got Clapton showing up, and it just, there's that.
If they could have, if one of them could have bumped Joni Mitchell, it would have been a perfect concert.
I've never understood the fascination either, but
I never have either.
Fans. Yeah,
I haven't either.
I think it's a generation skip. Yeah.
Helpless is a good song. She's one of these people for me that's like, oh, you had that one tune and okay, fine. But I don't know. But I thought the background was good with Helpless, where she's singing in the background. She's got that voice with Neil. That's just gorgeous. And again, I literally have a note that says, it looks like Neil has a booger and it's very distracting. That's literally one of my notes. That's great.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Mm-hmm.
And they played and they played and they played.
How many hundred thousands of yards of film do you think Scorsese shot?
It was a lot. They're talking about the motors kept burning out on the cameras, and he's like, you'd see the pieces being held off like dead soldiers, throughout the night as we were replacing it's an insane shoot. They were going to do 16 millimeter, and then he got the idea of 35, and then when they watched it back, they were like, damn, this looks like a movie. Fuck yeah, now we got to figure out a framing device. And he's like, tell those stories, those tour stories you told me. I'm going to intercut that stuff. And then some songs need to be presented a little more grand, like The Wait and the Evangeline, and show the countryside of the band that the concert doesn't really show that much. Weird.
Dear Diary. Kiss my ass, Fanny. Stand up. Don't sit down. And if you do, pay for it. And keep that heavy shit to yourself. I'm hauling my own water. Stupid ass song.
And something about I gave you a dog. I gave you a dog and now you have to take care of it or something. Like, what?
Yeah,
What the fuck is that all about?
I don't know.
No, they
Don't want to hear.
performed at Woodstock, but they're not in the movie. I think they played
Thank
at like
God.
2 a.m. or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see Levon Helm. His crash and his ride cymbals are all wrapped in duct tape, which I
Mm,
found. So that's got to like really mute or limit that vibration for
right.
that sound. So I thought that was an interesting choice.
Yeah, and so he would go on to start being more of an actor, coal miner's
Mm-hmm.
daughter, and some other things, and a bit of a solo
Yep,
career too.
very much so. Yeah, very much so.
And
Rolling Stone kissed this band's ass like they were the answer to everything. I mean, these guys were on the cover of Rolling Stone and featured in magazines. I mean, so much more than other bands were that were more deserving. It was
yeah.
insane. It was crazy. Um, and then we get to Neil Diamond, and I'm like, oh no, hello,
It's very diverse.
hello. Yeah, it really is.
And then
Yeah,
like even Winterland and all those places would kind of start to close and like get crazy. Remember we watched that? That feels like this that was inspired by this in a way. Like we get all those blues guys. We're gonna do one last concert, except theirs was on New Year's Eve, wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah. There's that moment where they're talking about women on the road.
Oh
He
yeah.
goes, "Oh, I love them." I love it. One of them goes, "Well, you know what happens when you have too much fun?" Ha 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 ha. And it's like, oh,
Like one of the things that prevents me from giving it a higher rating is it's not as honest as it could be. If they had talked about the drug use on top of everything else
oh
and
yeah,
been completely
totally.
transparent about how fucked up everybody was, then you really have an interesting movie. But you're trying to hide the fact that everybody is completely blasted on stage and throughout.
It's
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 very
the
obvious.
equivalent. It's the equivalent of your mom walking into your room when all your friends and you are partying, and everybody just kind of freezes up and is like, "Hey, how's it going?" And tries to act sober.
Freeze under the
You know,
police spotlight.
everybody just tries to act sober but it's nobody's buying it because it's really
Nobody's
obvious y'all are
buying it.
fucked up. Y'all are messed up. At
Whew.
58 minutes and 12 seconds, Levon Helm is wearing the biggest trucker hat I've ever seen in my
Oh
entire life.
yeah,
I mean, it is a hat that Megamind would wear.
all snapback Gen
It is,
Gen Zers
yeah.
are highly jealous of that hat.
Did people really wear trucker hats that big back in the day, or was that
Oh,
just
they
specially
did. You
made from him?
remember?
My God,
You
that
saw
thing, yeah, but that thing was like
I remember them being that big.
huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, since we've all started playing together, it's like we've all grown a little, and so has the women. It's like, oh, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
y'all are, y'all gotta get off the drugs. You gotta get off the road. It's getting crazy. It's getting fucking weird over here.
Yeah. He's like 16 years on the road. I can't think about 20. And then you watch the little featurette when the movie's 25, and he's like, it's funny that we were so young and thinking about it being over anyways. But he's like, it did make sense at the time to stop that so I could start a new leaf
I
at
mean,
that point.
16 years doing the same thing, going through different incarnations is a long fucking time. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Because Jaime Robbie Robertson went on to make some film scores after this too. He worked with
Very
Scorsese
true.
quite a bit. Apparently, the two of them were doing coke together for like the better part of a year. Editing this film is the legendary story.
Oh, editing. Yeah. What do you think, Marty? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Wind that back. Wind that part back. No wonder they fucking loved it so much, right? They thought it was the greatest thing ever.
I like the Sonny Boy Williams song again. That was fun. That was pretty
Right.
good. Again, Emmylou's performance is probably the best, I think.
That's the standout. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, when the concert started, the downbeat was so loud that Scorsese was like, "Oh shit, I didn't compensate for this being this loud." But they somehow managed to get a very nice recording of it. It sounds good.
at the end of that song, they cut to Robbie Robertson, and he talks about what the band learned from the road. But what I really feel like is what he's talking about is what he learned from the road.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you're not talking about you're not
talking
about
the other members weren't quite happy about that.
Right. No, they weren't real happy. I mean, Levon Helm sued him for all kinds of, copyright and lyric theft and all kinds of stuff. So it wasn't I think Robertson at the end claims that they were all so messed up on heroin that he had to kind of take control of the band and do what he did. And I think the band says, nah, screw you. You had the ego and you wanted to, the last couple of records were basically all his music that he wanted to do, type of stuff. But again, who knows? I wasn't there, and I really honestly don't care enough about the band.
I just think it's in general, because I like movies about bands, and this, you could replace them with almost anybody, and it's those dynamics kind of happen sometimes.
Yeah. No, I hear you. This one though, I think it's so slickly done, and Marty hides so much of the jaggedness and the rawness of the band that it's very one note. It's very much a one note sort of documentary. There's nothing really that's super revealed. There's a few funny stories here and there and how the band came together, but you don't, like you said, we don't learn about the drug use. No, we don't really learn about the women. We don't really learn about the road.
It's more just
how tough it was. It's just
of a performance.
It's just here's our performance, and we'll talk to you a little bit, and that's about it. And it's very, very smooth, and it's very slick and well done. But it's also, it's like My Cousin Vinny. It's kind of, entertaining, but there's really not a lot to it under the surface. You know what I mean? Because they've cut all that out. They've hid it from you. Mm-hmm. They don't want to talk about that stuff. They don't want to talk about the fact that Levon and Robbie Robertson are fighting, or that Manuel had. I think they said he had. I read on Wikipedia that he had some sort of back injury, car driving accident a couple of months before. So he's high constantly during this thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not the truth. It's the truth they want you to see, right? Along with this concert that they're giving you.
And that's how it was presented a lot 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until more modern times where you see like Tar, where it's more of we're going to show you all the fucking sides of it now. Scorsese referred to them almost as if they were prize fighters returning to their corner in between songs and getting hyped back up and then going back out and doing it again. I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because you did make Raging Bull after this, so...
Getting hyped, maybe a little. The Daily Prayer by Ferlinghetti is the only relevant thing in the entire movie. This far forward, it's the only thing that speaks to now. His weird Pledge of Allegiance, and it reminds me of that kid on our show, very much so. Yeah. That renounced his allegiance to the flag.
That clip is on YouTube. You can find it if you want, people.
You sure can.
But I like it mostly because I like movies that capture time really well, and this is like a total snapshot of a time that was over as it was happening, kind of, because the tides were shifting. And I'm not really a band fan per se, but I just find that whole scene and all the different various players of it interesting. And it's like, oh, so this is where they were all checking in at this point, and then this serves as kind of this juncture where everything switches after kind of the real end of the 60s in a way, kind of around 76 or so.
I mean, I think this is the break before disco takes over.
Yeah.
As a kid, this music played a lot in my house, and I really got to the point where I just didn't like it.
Yeah, that could be a problem. See, I didn't hear any of this stuff until 10 years ago. So
it was problematic for me. And you didn't. I mean, you don't know that, but it really detracts from my being able to enjoy it. It's like, like I said, if I gave you an ABBA documentary or a
Saturday Night Fever
documentary, yeah, you'd be like, oh, why did you do this to me? Here's your Bee Gees documentary. You'd be like, oh, that was tough. But I agree with you on a lot of the points that you're making. It's well shot. It looks good. Again, there
You
are
just
some
wish
great.
it was about a different band.
I wish it was about a different band. That's exactly it. I really wish it was about a different band. You nailed it. But anyway, again, I see the craft work of it. Scorsese is a great filmmaker. And I'm not even shitting on the band. The band is a good band. That is a tight band doing some good stuff. I just don't like the music at times. It's just not for me. Right, exactly. But overall, I mean, I'm going to give it 3 stars. I can't give it less than that because it's well made, and it's an important documentary. I think it's it's an historical piece. A lot of people think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily understand that, again, because that music doesn't resonate with me. But I get, I when I watch it, I go, okay, I get it.
I feel like it's about the time.
I see what you're talking about.
More than the music for me, it's about the time. So I give it 4.5 just because I think it's such a perfect capture of something. Even if it's something I don't really care, I appreciate that it exists. And it kind of makes me wish, like you said, it had been different things, or maybe if we had a movie like this that had been made in the late 60s or a few years earlier that could have captured some other bands and looked this nice, imagine how much different the legacy of like a Hendrix would be if he had a movie this nice about him or something,
I think that there are much better. Yeah, I just think that there are much better put together live performances that are captured. Again, Making Sense. Yeah. Stop Making Sense is one of them. Nirvana's Live Tonight sold out at the Paramount's fantastic. Pearl Jam's got a couple pretty good ones.
And strangely enough, I like it because of not the music, but because of the weird snapshot that it does.
I hear you.
In the weird, the Herculean feat of trying to capture that performance as it was going on for fucking 5 hours.
Yeah, that's a big
out of their mind. And
sure. Yeah, there's no digital back then. You got to just keep going, slapping those film canisters in there.
Well, he's a good director. Yeah,
he's a fantastic director.
Well, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I do like the fact
Happy Thanksgiving.
Very early in the movie, as we hear Happy Thanksgiving, it's like, okay, they set the stage right there. So next week we will have a guest episode, but the week after that we will be back with episode 98 of Talking Pondo. 8. Holy shit.
Getting close.
Crazy.
Getting close.
So your movie next week is The Empire Strikes Back.
Really?
Yep. Original version, if you would. We'll try to steer away from those 1997 special editions. Even though they don't change much in this one. But I still, Speaking of good directors and movies that people like.
Well, speaking of the band, this movie moved up a movie that I had quite further up. So, your next movie has Levon Helm in it.
Oh, wow.
And it's called The Right Stuff.
Hey, that's true. We get some more Ed Harris action, too.
Oh, we get Scott Glenn, Ed Harris. We get, what's the dude that was in Remo Williams? Fred Dwyer? Is that him?
Yeah.
He's in it.
We should get Jeff on this one.
Our boy Bishop from Aliens is in it.
That's right.
Too.
Lance Henriksen.
It's got a great cast. Oh, Jesus. And Randy and Dennis Quaid.
Yeah. So more all-time classics as we keep getting closer to episode 100, which will be a very special episode this year. Episode 100 in a few weeks. Episode 101 will also be our special New Year's episode. And even 102 will be special. Well, they'll all be special. So
I got a special one for you on 101, buddy. Got that one all planned out for you. It's going to be fantastic.
Out too, so.
All right.
I read my Black Beat 2, homie, or whatever they say in Spring 2.
You want to get out of here on a quote?
This might not be exactly right, but it's close enough. What level of thickness are you at right now?
How do you like your grits? Creamy, or natural, or al dente? Don't miss an episode. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, like us on YouTube, or give us a 5-star rating on the podcast app of your choice.